Welcome to Two Women in Crypto, a weekly podcast birthed on a whim by two women who are excited about the cryptocurrency landscape and have a shared passion about empowering others to step into the digital, tokenized world of the future. We offer tips, tricks, and our own individual insights as to how to begin to navigate this shift. We are not financial advisors nor experts. We are just here to encourage you to look at the possibilities. So welcome to the future. You're right on time. Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you this fine morning?
I am well, and happy fall. It is fall equinox, yeah? First day of fall.
It sure is. It sure is.
Feeling good. I'm feeling good about it. The change of energy feels nice. I'm ready for the cool weather to come in.
Awesome.
After October 15th, for personal reasons. But all right, so here we are. I'm sure you've done a lot of research for this week. I'm sure there's lots of new things to talk about, but let's do housekeeping to start.
Awesome.
So we have our monthly Q&A this Saturday, which is the 24th. I'll just put a little banner up here real quick for everybody to take a peek at, but you can register on our website. This is a great opportunity for anybody to come and join in community and talk about all things happening in the market and all kinds of other things that come up in conversation as well. But it's just $10. It's at 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we welcome you to join us. It's always fun. And if you're brand new to the whole crypto process or have questions about blockchain, this is a great way to come in and kind of, dive into those topics that you're not too sure about, and it's a safe place to do so. And then, before we step into the news of the day, just wanted to give a big shout out to our sponsors. We have some amazing sponsors and have partnered with the Above Phone as well, and just feel very grateful that we have these opportunities in front of us. So the Above Phone, first of all, is a de-Googled phone. It's a way to live in the world without having everything, in a very quick synopsis, without having everything tracked. So for instance, I am really beginning to really understand what tracking is all about in a project that I'm involved in. And you know what? Not a fan at all. So this phone allows you to exist in the world, but without having everything that you're doing being monitored. So highly recommend. You can find that on a link for that on our website as well. And then of course, Computer Diva. She's our go-to for all of our computer needs, support all over the world. She does remote services for us. Highly recommend. You can check out her website at computerdiva.biz. And then Markley. Markley provides us with mobile opportunities for notary services and things of that nature. So you're in the process of creating a living trust or will, or anytime you need that type of services, check out Markley. So I think we're super fortunate to have you on board with us. So, all right. Anything else you want to dive into before we dive into the news?
No, let's dive into the news. Well, I will make one fun comment. So we did we've been doing karaoke at one of our favorite restaurants, right in Flagler Beach at Sun Bros. And I sing with Jeannie, who's the singer of the Hodlers, one of the singers of the Hodlers. They sang Love Shack, and during the song, they incorporated the crypto lyrics for "Dump Cash, Baby," and the whole place was freaking out. So much fun. So what an awesome way to...
I didn't know that she had a YouTube channel, so you should check it out. It's I
Just
Sing with
started
Jeannie.
it. Yeah, I sing with Jeannie. So shout out to Jeannie. That was awesome. It was just so much fun. And you knew the little Two Women in Crypto group were all chanting "Dump Cash." We had a blast.
And amazing voices too.
Yes. I know. It's so awesome. All right. So I guess we all probably saw the stock market really crashed hard yesterday after the FOMC meeting. Okay. So it's the Federal Open Market Committee. They pretty much what this meeting does is kind of like the board of governors for the Federal Reserve Bank. and they monitor monetary policy, right? So basically, the Federal Reserve Bank is in charge of stable prices and maximum employment. So right now, we don't have stable prices. So what they're doing is they're raising the interest rates, and they raise them 3/4 of a point, which is pretty much in target of what we were expecting. So, yeah.
We're expecting 0.5 to 0.75, and at least it wasn't the 1%. I think there was a rumor that was a possibility, regardless where we're at.
Yeah, and they run analytics. They were saying like we had like a 20% chance of like a 1 point rate increase, but it was really like 80% chance that it was going to be 0.75. So that was right on. And I know last week they came out with inflation numbers, and even though it makes it seem like inflation went down 0.2%, when you look at like the overall numbers of all inflation, like in all the different areas, it's actually going up. So we definitely want to keep an eye out on this. Like I went to the food store, and like I'm dairy free, so my butter is like a little bit more expensive, but my butter went up to like $6.50, and it used to be way under $4. So,
Oh, wow.
Right. So since the beginning of like the government shutdown, when we saw inflation start to like seep in, that's a big increase, right? So huge increase.
It is a big increase. My son was here just recently from California, and I mean, single guy, eating as single guys probably do, what have you, but he's pretty conscious about his food. But for one meal, I think he went to the store and ended up paying like $28, $30, whatever it was, just for a few items. So it's big. It's out there. We're all feeling it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And like hopefully like and again, I think like a lot of this inflation is because of supply chain issues. So once we can get the supply chain moving in the right direction, hopefully we'll see the price of food, go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
We need teachers to say hopium because we're believers. So go ahead.
We are believers. And speaking of believers, so one of the loans that Voyager had with Alameda Research, it was for $200 million. Alameda Research is going to pay Voyager back by September 30th. This is something that all Voyager holders want to keep an eye out on, because if you still had money in the Voyager account, like let's keep our fingers crossed that they're going to take part of this $200 million and start paying their customers back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So that would be, really, really good news. I know there's a lot of companies that are bidding on buying Voyager, but, nothing's been released yet or anything like that. But there was a lot of companies interested. And I think I mentioned Binance was one of them. So, yeah.
Right. And they're doing a pretty good job about keeping everybody informed of their process. So, which is admirable. Let's just hope it ends up in our best interest, those that have coins on the platform. So,
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's jump into the Ripple Xrp case.
Yeah. Wow, lots of this last week there was so much going on around that, and it continues, right?
And the more I listen to people talk about it, like I'm seriously doing such a deep dive into all the different blockchain platforms, because as we get closer and closer to adoption, like we will see who the actual winners are, like what companies, what central banks, what elite governments, like who are they choosing for their blockchain, like moving forward? Because this is something that we talked about last week. It's like, I know there's still a lot of people who don't understand like what is cryptocurrency and what is a blockchain. But if you look at it just from a security perspective, okay, our current system, whether you're going to Target, you have a Lowe's credit card, you're going to the grocery store, you keep your money in the bank, it's 1 point of failure. And the blockchain solves this problem, which really increases the security of all these companies, which is why in the near future, we're going to see more and more adoption of announcements of moving these companies to a particular blockchain. Okay, could still be centralized, right? We see JPMorgan, they have Quorum, totally centralized copy of Ethereum, but yet the security is now that much better, right? Because of all the different nodes, and there's many points of failure. Right. So these are the things we want to keep in mind. And I listen to all the leaders in the industry, and any company that doesn't make this change within the next year or two, or maybe 3, will be obsolete. They will go out of business, because it's just going to be, and I guess we're going to see, like, as observers, Kelly and I always say, we're going to watch, but it makes total sense with like all the different cyber security issues that we're having. It's really important for companies to make this transition, and they are. The major ones are.
Exactly. And, I being in the world that I've been in for the last however many years, I mean, those attacks, you'll have the individuals that get hit, but when they attack those major corporations, it's a major issue.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, just to kind of get back with like the Ripple case. So summary judgment has been filed. So we're definitely getting close to a settlement. We've been posting articles like all week, having fun with 2 Women in Crypto, being, both the SEC and Ripple, they want XRP to get clarified. Okay, so they want judgment on what is XRP. And in that summary judgment, I think it was like 77 pages or something crazy.
Which makes sense just from an energetic standpoint, for sure. It's crazy. The whole, anyway, it's funny to me. It really is theater, but
right. I mean, it's kind of crazy because, like, again, it's just like when we look at the SEC's argument, and I think their strongest argument is XRP is an investment contract. So then Ripple's just like, well, if it's an investment contract, where's the contract? There is no contract. Like, people bought XRP on these exchanges, like, not even knowing that Ripple, was like, they built RippleNet, and XRP is the native currency that they happen to use on RippleNet. But we see it used in cross-border payments with all these new applications and payment apps, all these different banking institutions, so how is XRP an investment contract? So it's not really a strong case, but again, I think, like, how I look at it is we are in a technology war. The SEC wants XRP to be labeled as a security, so a lot of the other assets will fall underneath a security status, which is more regulation, instead of being labeled as a commodity, which would fall under the CFTC, and it's just regulated differently. So either way, XRP would be fine, but at the same time, it's not a security. And the more that, Kelly and I do the deep dives with the SEC, we know that it's corrupt. We know that it's like, I think when people, even if they have good intentions, they get into these positions, and when you have that much power, that much control, it's like getting addicted to heroin, right? How do I stop this from, it's like this monster that just kind of takes over.
Right, exactly. And it's exactly how it pans out. And, of course, none of this is financial advice, but I do really like the energy that came in this week. So if anybody is interested in obtaining XRP, and again, do your own research, options would be through a SafePal device, Uphold, Atomic Wallet, especially for those of us in the United States.
Yep, that's true. That's true. So yeah, so we have a lot of folks using SafePal. So you can just go to SafePal. You could just do a swap, which is awesome. Like, that's how I've been buying it. I have like a little stash of USDC, and I just swap it for XRP. And we saw XRP pump because we know the settlement is coming. So again, I think that we'll hear from the judge probably around the middle of November. I think this is what Brad Garlinghouse and some of the lawyers are saying. And we're looking probably at a November, December, January settlement, which would be awesome.
Yeah, it would hit through this. Start anew.
Yeah, it's time to start anew. And again, like, and I could see right after the settlement, we'll see a lot more announcements of bank adoptions and actual usage of XRP, because we know SWIFT is going live in November. The Depository Trust Clearing Corporation already went live, so we're seeing more and more companies get involved. And I can actually see this like kind of propelling us into the next bull run. And it could take a good part of 2023, but at the same time, we'll see pumps, right? I mean, this morning before Kelly and I went live, it's like Algorand pumped a little bit. There's such good news and momentum, behind some of their ecosystem that, it's just good to see that we're right in alignment.
Yeah.
We're right. Yeah. Yeah. So, and I think the other thing that that the SEC was saying was like it was a distributed sale of XRP, kind of like an ICO. And what's really interesting is that like a public sale of it, but Ripple never did an ICO. Like they're one of the companies that didn't do it. So initial coin offerings would fall under the SEC.
Right.
But they didn't even do an ICO. So again, like Kelly and I say, I think a lot of this is theater. I think like the more I'm learning about these systems, the more I see like the SEC, the World Economic Forum, JPMorgan, like they're all doing business with Ethereum.
Yeah, which is a really fascinating thing to me based on some of the it really makes me scratch my chin. I'm like, I really?
Yeah. So, and that's kind of like a good bridge to start talking about, like what's going on with Ethereum. I know a lot of people are like disappointed, not with the merge. The merge was totally successful, but I think people are nervous, Kelly. Like you needed 32 ETH to stake your ETH. And I've been getting text messages like, I staked my ETH. I hope I get them back.
Well, that's a really interesting thing, and I had not thought about that. And I, certainly am voting the same prayer out there. But it's, what I find so interesting is that it's so manipulated. I just try not to get too in it, but to see that, ETH is becoming this grand darling of the WEF or what have you, is like, how did that come to be? I mean, not that I'm surprised. I shouldn't be surprised about anything that I read, and I don't have any expectations about any of it, but it still does throw me for a little bit of a roller coaster ride.
You know what threw me? The biggest loop that threw me, right? Because when I started to see the news that the World Economic Forum chose Ethereum as their blockchain, I was just like, I went online and I actually watched an interview with one of the executives from Consensys talking to someone to the World Economic Forum back in 2020, and they were talking about Ethereum. So my question is, it's like, okay, well, now we know why they had to move from proof of work to proof of stake, because of the narrative that proof of work is bad because it uses too much electricity.
I didn't even put that together. Yep.
So of course Ethereum has to move because all these companies, all these elite governments have already chosen Ethereum, and now it's like, okay, so now we're moving over to proof of stake. And during that time, I was actually listening to the developers who were part of, merging ETH's proof of work to proof of stake. And it's like, well, now it's centralized. Like there's centralized components, which, again, we've talked about, like nothing's going to be as decentralized and secure, in my opinion, right now than Bitcoin, because it has over 13,000 nodes and like it's so decentralized and it's so secure. It's been in existence for over 13 years now, 14 years now.
I believe it's, yeah, right there.
And it's never been hacked. And like, so there's like, Bitcoin has all of, all of these like real use cases that make it so valuable. And at the same time, going through this narrative, we're going to see what happens. I think it's going to be like a bumpy road. I think Bitcoin's going to be fine. It's moving to green energy. All of the mining that's being done is wind, solar, water. So, there's a lot of money into Bitcoin. We know that BlackRock, Deloitte, all these institutions are backing Bitcoin. They will, I'm assuming, help get this to a green technology. So it'll happen, right?
So can you explain to me, and hopefully this will be helpful for others as well, and I'm sure will be, proof of work is more secure than proof of stake. Is that correct?
I guess it depends who you talk to.
Right.
Right. But like, I would say yes. Right. I think like if you dive deep into the code, I would think that proof of work is more secure. Now, we know Bitcoin isn't super scalable at the moment, right? So it's super slow, but that's why, they gave up scalability to be more secure and more decentralized. But then the question arises, well, how do you use that for payments? We need something that's scalable. So it's that trilemma problem, right? So the three trilemmas is security, scalability, and decentralization. So normally you're going to have to give one up to get the other. So when we're looking at things being super scalable and super fast, then you give up a little bit of that decentralization or security. So I could see proof of work being less decentralized than, let's say, Bitcoin that runs on proof of stake. I mean, proof of stake being a little less decentralized. So, and again, I don't really have a problem with that, but my problem is, like, I've been listening to these folks for years at Ethereum bashing Ripple, right? Saying that they're centralized, they're the banker's coin. But what I'm finding is that they were talking about themselves, because Ethereum, I think, is going to be the leader for central bank digital currencies. How about that? That? Because the more I'm looking at it, I would say they're number one on my list.
Which never crossed my mind. Through the whole time we've been talking about that, that wasn't even in my radar at all.
Nope. Yeah. So, and again, it's just like, I never expected like XRP to be like the leader for central bank digital currencies. Like I could see Algorand or Stellar, some of those other companies, but, XRP more for like cross-border payments, for like the SWIFT system, for, any country that's going to do cross-border payments can use XRP as that bridge currency, or use it as settlement because it'll provide on-demand liquidity. So, we'll see. Like, and again, if Ethereum is the chosen one, because it could be, right? It doesn't mean that all the other coins aren't going to do fabulous, because they are. Like, so, I mean, all of these projects are connecting right now. So I'm seeing the interoperability happen. And, take, for example, Algorand. Algorand is building its cross chains. It's connected with Ethereum. So here we go. Like, these systems are all going to connect. So like any transaction's going to be seamless. But again, what I'm finding is like it's all kind of connecting to Ethereum, an Ethereum virtual machine, the Ethereum blockchain. So, and I heard Vitalik Buterin call Ripple communist. And I was like, yeah, I think it might be you. And wouldn't it be interesting if XRP is like the one that's not, right? Like, they are decentralized. They might hold most of the escrow, but they own, it's getting less and less. It used to be like they held like, I don't know, over 60%, almost 68%. Now it's 50%, but that's just the escrow that they could put into some sort of custody. With, you know, and again, it's kind of like the algorithms. Ripple doesn't have control over the escrow. It's more of like once a month, they send it out to their customers to use. So very, very interesting. But I knew it back then, something when Vitalik called Ripple communists, I was like, I wonder if he's speaking about himself, right? Because we always project, people project.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, there's always that kind of thing happening. So interesting. Well, it'll be fascinating to watch how this plays out. But not financial advice, do your own research. I'm sure that those that are in crypto right now, everybody's got a little bit of ether somewhere. Some of us may have big bags, who knows? Because it's what you need to move and work with most of all the ERC20 tokens. And I know I'm talking Greek to some people, but you know, anyway, be fascinating theater.
Yep. And I definitely, like, at this point too, it's like, I feel like the tokens, you know, the major platforms that we talk about, again, not financial advice, but they're all winners.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's just going to be fun to see like who uses what where, you know, and a little disappointing about Ethereum. But, you know, we know they sold out to JPMorgan and Consensys. They're the ones that did the ICO. They're the ones that got the funding from these companies. So they're way more of a security than XRP. And I think in a lot of people's opinion. So.
Right.
Yep. All right. So with that being said, you know, when I was doing, I was looking at Ethereum's roadmap. So like they break down their roadmap into like segments, like the merge. What was the I think the second one is the surge, the verge, the purge, and the splurge. I love how creative these folks get. So I'm just, you know, I'm not going to, it gets super techy, but the merge is complete, 100% successful. The next step is we're looking at the surge, which is going to bring scalability, which is what Ethereum is missing. That scalability piece to their ecosystem will lower their fees and make super fast transactions. And it's kind of smart now that they're more centralized. They'll be able to do this really easily. So, you know, but there's no date for the scalability to be finished. All they said was sometime next year. Okay, so that's just something that, you know, we'll be definitely keeping an eye out on. And again, you know, when we look at when they'll be releasing the central bank digital currencies, if a lot of the big countries are going to be using the Ethereum platform, to me, it's like, well, at least we have a little bit of time to still kind of sit with things, kind of get our bearings, figure out. I've been getting a lot of questions like, how are we going to live in a decentralized world if everything is getting centralized or if everything is getting connected?
Well, that's a good point. And I think I know here in Portland, I'm seeing it as I continue to be out in the world a lot more these days, more things are. It's really been interesting, eye-opening to see how things are really being pushed towards that new world, whether it be having your driver's license scanned and all. I mean, just there's all kinds of things going on out there that have been subtle for maybe some people, not for me so much. It hasn't been a subtle transition for me.
Yeah, and I
think it's all part of this. It's all correlation.
And you live in Portland, so Portland, you know, I think like there's probably like a good portion of the population that wants this. And I know it's hard for people, especially like listeners of Two Women in Crypto, but there are people that want to get microchipped. There are people that want to become transhuman, right? And want this kind of virtual world kind of scenario where everything is automated and everything is, you know, that high tech. And I think Portland, you know, could be one of those like model cities for it. Like if you live in a small town like me, like I'm just starting to see QR codes, right? So.
Right, I know, and it's fascinating. I remember growing up, I came from a small town in New Mexico, we would, and then we moved to Denver, and we would speak with our friends in New Mexico, and they were like behind the times, so far behind the times compared to where we were. So yeah, I mean, that's just part of how the world rolls. But
yeah, for sure, you know. But you know, I think there's a couple things that, because like, you know, I always look for the solution, right? So
yeah.
this is kind of like my thought process. So last week we talked about Fidelity, Charles Schwab, Citadel. Okay, so they're launching a cryptocurrency trading platform. So, okay, so that's centralized. They'll expand that and connect with some sort of decentralized finance platform. Let's just take example, Algorand. So let's just say, you know, for example, these two, you know, the CEFI, the DeFi, they merge. Why couldn't we spend our time in DeFi? So I was thinking about this, and I talked to Kelly like a couple days ago, and I was like, oh, Kelly, I totally just did this thing. So I've been trying to figure out a way, like for us, like if we are going to be in a bear market, you know, over the next like 6, 9 months, 12 months, well, let's start making some passive income with the crypto that we have. And let's do it decentralized, because we're not recommending staking your coins on Binance or Coinbase or any of these centralized exchanges.
Right.
So I was doing like a deep dive into Algorand, and, you know, I look at their ecosystem, and they have like Yieldly Finance, and we'll include the link in the description below if you want to take a look at their platform. But it's like a decentralized finance platform that you can go to, and you can actually participate in their ecosystem. So I have Algorand, like I hold a decent bag of Algorand. So I went and I connected, this is cool, I connected my Ledger wallet. Everyone's going to be like, what? I connected my Ledger wallet to Yieldly Finance. Okay. And then I was able to go to a decentralized exchange called Tiny Man, which is so funny. These names crack me up. Like, it's like Pancake Swap. Like, okay, this is supposed to be like serious. You know? Being older, Kelly and I, we always have to like chuckle, right? So we have Tiny Man. I was able again to connect my Tiny Man wallet to my Algorand wallet, which is connected to my Yieldly wallet, all through access of my hardware wallet, because it's my keys, my crypto. Okay.
Right.
So I was able to swap on Tiny Man to get some Yieldly tokens connected to my Algorand wallet for Yieldly Finance by, you know, so now I'm staking Yieldly, and I'm earning Yieldly and Algorand 16.1% paid out about every 14 to 16 hours, earning compounding interest.
Yeah, which is huge. And that's what decentralization is all about. And I know that there are people that are listening and their minds going, boom, what did she just do? And it's all doable. And Andrea she knows these back ends to connecting these decentralized things through Ledger, and Ledger is going to be your best bet to do this. I mean, there's other things you can do, but Ledger really is. So that was a huge find to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's such a good point, right? Because there's pros and cons of all the different hardware wallets. And again, I know Kelly and I are both on the search. Like, we get a lot of feedback. We know setting up a hardware wallet, it's not user friendly yet, but we will get there, right? As the blockchain and as these systems mature, as the technology matures, we will have an easy hardware wallet where anyone's going to be able to get it set up. But if you want the 16.1% interest, right, it's a learning curve. So that's part of it. And I, you know, and again, it's something like I have no problem teaching a small class. You know, anyone from Two Women in Crypto, anyone who listens to the podcast, if you want this class, we can throw something together and I can walk you through how to get this all connected. And again, it's like, it sounds so hard, but once you do it, one, you're like, I just did that. And then the next thing is like, you check your account and you're like, what's another DeFi platform that's offering 16%? Like, I hold these coins, I hold this coin, like, so I'm looking for other participating staking opportunities. We're not doing like liquidity pools or farming out our tokens, which is much higher risk. This is like, we're staking our coins to provide that security for proof of stake,
Right.
blockchains, and then we get paid, part of those fees when people do make transactions. So it's
so much safer than putting everything out on the exchanges, because those are hot, and it just makes so much more sense to do the extra work. And it is extra work, but like Andrea said, it's pretty rewarding when you figure out all the little ties that you have to make, all the little jumps you need to make. It's pretty cool when you get there. It's like really rewarding when you figure it out. So that's really cool. I'm anxious to go through that with you, because I have I think I have very little algorithm. I have a little bit, full disclosure, not financial advice, but yeah, I'm excited to see how that was done.
And it's one of those things too, like when I think about like Silvio Macaulay and the awards that he's won, and he spent most of his career at MIT, and the work that he's done at Algorand, like, again, I think Algorand is a winner. Like, it is one of the chosen projects, in my opinion, that's going to win. So when I look at the applications that are being built upon Algorand, and I look at something like Yieldly Finance, okay, Yieldly Finance during the bull market, it hit 10 cents. These are very, very new, high-risk projects. I'm not taking away from that, but at the same time, it dropped all the way down to 0.004 cents. And then today, this morning, when I checked it, because now I'm super excited to see how much Yieldly I'm earning and Algorand. But I just did a very small amount. The same thing. It's kind of like the first time we transfer our coins to Ledger.
Oh,
Small
absolutely.
amount. We don't know what, we're learning. So I did a very small amount of Algorand, because my Algorand means a lot to me. Don't want to lose it, right? But, to watch and see like the Yieldly, how quickly it's going up, 0.004 cents. That's how hard Yieldly got hit when the market crashed. And in this bear market, and with Algorand coming out with more, with more of their news, they're connecting to Ethereum now. We're getting the interoperability. What if Yieldly Finance is the go-to finance platform on Algorand? Using something like Tinyman as its DEX. We're going to see how this, evolves over, the next couple of months. But, I did it, and I'm excited. And I encourage others just to, and again, just to learn, because I can see centralized finance. Like, if you want to keep your money at Bank of America, like, Bank of America is going to have two choices. They're going to go to the blockchain, or they're going to go out of business. They're absolutely going to go to the blockchain. And we're going to see them compete, right? Like, they're going to compete with Coinbase. We can put our paychecks into Coinbase, and then we're going to see the SEC going after all these companies, which they've been, to offer really low rates. And the answer to that is go to decentralized finance. If you want to earn interest on your, coins, even on USDC, we're going to start to participate in decentralized finance. Or you can stay at Bank of America and earn your 0.001%. And that's kind of how I look at it.
Well, that, and you take along, the whole governance of energy and things of that nature. Really, the old financial systems are a much bigger strain on energy usage compared to cryptocurrencies.
Yeah, and it's
like, so they're going to go away too. I mean, those are going to go away based on this governance, if that's truly, whatever that looks like.
Right. And I think, I mean, and I think that's going to be like, a big issue, right? Because why do we need brick and mortar banks when we can download an app on our phone,
Yep.
or maybe the Bank of America will just be an app. It'll just be an app. No more tellers, like,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
no more bankers. These positions are going to become a thing of the past because everything is getting automated.
Right. The only reason I'm in a bank is to pull my cash out. That's the only
Right.
reason I ever go into a bank because everything else I do through my app. But
yeah, and that's kind of cool. Like, I actually, like, I'm kind of old school. Like, I like, well, I used to like going to the bank. I don't like, ever since like the government shut down, it's just, you kind of feel like, as when you're, I don't know, it's just a weird vibe, right? It's like all of a sudden I feel like the world changed and now all people are bad. Like, that's, or we're all on alert. Like, it's a very weird kind of feeling.
yeah.
But with that said, we're going to see more and more of these banks as soon as we get regulation, as soon as we get the first bill signed. And I still think there's a chance where we'll get a stable coin bill signed before the end of the year. But if not, again, it's just in the next 3 to 6 months. We're definitely going to have some sort of regulation. We will see banks start making these announcements. All the infrastructure is there. Everything has been built out. I mean, I know, like, for example, Bank of America has been partnered with Ripple, I think, since 2017. There's a really good chance they're going to run their blockchain, off of XRP. So we'll see how that plays out. But, definitely something to watch. But all right. So the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about, just to kind of get back, I know we did kind of like a huge left turn. So just to get back with like Algorand, another thing that really impresses me is like the team is so smart. They have said that they have solved the trilemma problem. So when I think about, we had Bitcoin was the first blockchain for peer-to-peer transactions, right? We can now send money and value through the internet. So then Ethereum came along. So if we think about AOL, Yahoo, some of the, I can kind of see these blockchains still being super significant for a really, really long time. But I can also see, like, what happens if Algorand solved that trilemma problem? Now it's scalable, it's secure, and it's decentralized. What a great team to have solved this issue. And as we see more applications being built on top of their blockchain, to see how that disrupts some of the global institutions, because you can actually go get your Yieldly and stake it for day by day insurance. And their mission is to disrupt the global insurance company. And again, it's like,
Say that. Would you just say that one more time?
sure. So it's one of the decentralized applications that have been built on Yieldly is day-to-day insurance. So I think that we're starting to see the tokenization and digitization of insurance.
There you go. Greatness.
You can earn like 18%. And it's kind of like risky, right? Because we're kind of like placing our bets on who do we think is going to be super successful with doing this, right? Who's going to disrupt the insurance industry, and it'll always start off small, but like day by day, you can already do it, right? So if I want insurance, if I'm going through a really big move, like say Kelly decides, Andrea, I'm out of here. I'm leaving Portland. I'm coming to Florida.
Yeah,
I'm coming to the hot, humid weather, right? But you can actually insure all the things that you own in a smart contract on this blockchain. So that way, if if like the truck, gets a flat tire, some of your things break, something like that, it's automatic, boom, no waiting period. You get your insurance money immediately.
Oh boy, yeah, super exciting.
Yeah. So and again, this is like so super early stages, but when Kelly and I talk about the transfer of wealth, and it's like, and if you have the kahunas, right? Or maybe $50, right? Just do it for fun, just to kind of learn, right? That's what I did. Like, I'm like, I just want to learn and go through the process of doing this without going, like, I know people do like algorithmic trading with bots. Like, I don't want to do that. I know a lot of people have lost a lot of money. And I also know people that have impermanent loss when they're providing liquidity. And I am not super techie. So like, but this is something for my technical knowledge and ability that I feel comfortable walking someone through and be like, this is the safest way to participate in decentralized finance.
Yeah, absolutely. We're both right there on that page. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And again, we're already participating, right? Because we stake our Cardano on the blockchain and we used our ledger and we connected through the Uri wallet. So we're already doing it, but this is actually kind of fun because you're like swapping this token for that token on a decentralized exchange, and then to see all your wallets connect, it's kind of fun. And then, and then to see that daily yield is, it's kind of super motivating. And you can do it for 2 days and be like, oh, I made 50 yieldly, I'm done.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a ginormous learning curve, but it's a kick. I mean, you just choose how you want to participate, not knowing what the outcome is. And so whether or not you go in with a big bag or not, it's all a very individualized process, but it is a lot of fun to remap the way we think about how we earn our money. And so, yeah, that's really amazing. I'm really going to have to dive deeper into that with your guidance.
And just banking in general, right? Because they have AlgoFi, which is decentralized finance banking. So I think like when I think about the future of finance, and it's going to be decentralized finance, I can see Algorand has its own platform and it breaks out their ecosystem of finance, just like Ethereum. We have Aave, we have Compounds. So we have these financial decentralized applications built on top of Ethereum. Same with Algorand, same with XRP, the Flare network, which I know we're also waiting for our Flare tokens for like 2 years now. But like they're building their ecosystem and it'll kind of be all around XRP, but they'll have their finance, their banking. So, and again, it can connect to centralized finance. So I think there'll be a bridge for people that, aren't ready to go into DeFi, but I see the DeFi, I see the CeFi, they're definitely going to connect. And hopefully we're going to have two parallel economies so that if I want to participate in decentralized finance and I'm on AlgoFi or I'm on Yieldly and I'm ready to take my profits, I just convert everything to USDC. I send it over to my SafePal wallet. I go to the store and I scan it and I pay for things with my SafePal wallet using USDC. I never once touched a centralized exchange.
Right.
And I could do all of my banking in decentralized finance.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're talking about borrowing money for our house, savings accounts. Like everything can be done on decentralized finance. So this is like super exciting. And yeah, I'm so excited to like help people and guide them like on this journey because, I've been working with so many people and it's just like, as soon as someone becomes their own bank for the first time, it's like,
it's amazing, isn't it?
The energy just shifts.
It does. Yeah.
It's empowering.
Yeah, it is. It's extraordinarily empowering. And that's, again, we say it all the time, why we show up to do what we do, because it can be complicated and overwhelming. But if you can walk through it with somebody that you trust and just lean into it, it makes all the difference in the world. And, we've been working with people now for a couple of years, and it's been amazing to watch what happens.
Yeah.
For the individuals.
And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And again, and to see like, this is just the beginning, and it's like, there's so much fear, uncertainty, and doubt, like around Bitcoin, around Ethereum, around XRP, around all these different coins. But it always brings me back to like what Gandhi said. Like, first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. So it's the same thing here. And I can see we have the centralized system that's looking to obtain more power, more control over the current systems. And it does look like we're heading that way. But at the same time, all these decentralized systems are being built. And what happens when the majority of people learn about decentralized finance? These centralized systems will not be needed. And that might take 10, 15 years, but we will get there. It's just time and patience in the market. And there is a learning curve, right? So we're all in this together. We're all learning together. And like, my whole motto is like, let's have fun and let's have some money, because this transfer of wealth is happening.
Absolutely.
Like, quickly. Especially when my butter's $6.50. I mean, come on. Yeah. So, and one other thing too, when I was doing the deep dive into Algorand, I do see, and I've gotten a lot of questions about this. I'm not going to do a deep dive, but I'm going to touch base on quantum computing really quickly.
Yeah, do.
Because, when I think about, most people go through one major technological advance in their life, and we went through two. We went through the internet, the information age, and now we're going through the data revolution. So we're in the data age, and the blockchain is a big part of that, Web 3.0. So as soon as the blockchain is getting implemented, integrated, usable, in about 3-4 years, we're going to start to have issues with quantum computing. That's an even higher level of the internet. And when I look at Algorand, and they have a quantum resistant signing mechanism called Falcon. Okay, this is something that I'm looking at, because when I want to look at long-term, and I look at long-term holdings, and I think most, like Ethereum, all these companies, they're going to have their own quantum resistant like signing mechanism, because the quantum computer will be able to break the blockchain like that, because that's how smart these algorithms are.
Yeah.
So another huge shout out, to Algorand, because they had the foresight to see these issues like coming down, like all in the near future. So I can definitely see like 3 to 5 years, like everyone's going to be using the blockchain like seamlessly. And then like, we'll see how this quantum computing kind of like plays into it. But yeah, just like really interesting. And again, like folks that don't keep up with it, like small businesses, like we all have to keep this stuff in mind, because we're moving into like a whole new world.
We are, and you know what? I'm super grateful for these deep dives, because it's hard to framework it, especially if you're not in it every day, right? I mean, if you're not really keeping on tabs with it. And I swear to goodness, you have this encyclopedia of knowledge to share, and able to keep all the little storylines straight. So I'm super excited about that as well. It's always exciting to see what's happening. But yeah. It's not always easy to talk about the changes and things of that nature. But like you said, you always try to share solutions or the brighter side of the shifting versus the instability of how many may be feeling.
Well, and I feel like too, like even with like what's going on with Ethereum, and again, doing the deep dive into Consensys and JPMorgan and their ICO and all of these things that have gone on, it's like the first step to acknowledging that you have a problem is awareness. And we have a centralization problem in our country and all over the world. And once people see the problem and have the awareness, then they'll be able to understand that the Fed app is not a good long-term solution, but maybe AlgoFi is, right? Maybe Yieldly is, like something in DeFi where we can stay in DeFi that has no backdoor. I can shut down the system. Like I remember Solana. When Solana was crashing hard, it's obviously not decentralized. They went in and they stopped it.
Right, exactly. They definitely pulled that plug.
So it's really important, especially for folks that want to stay free. Like we'll always be free, but in finance, like, if we want to stay decentralized, things change so fast, right? We were all banking and rooting for Ethereum, the first like completely decentralized, almost like a global computer for decentralized applications that's going to take over the world. And now we sold out, and it's just like that. It's just that fast, right?
It is that fast.
Yeah. It happens so quickly. Yeah. So as frustrating as it is, then it's just like, well, what are some other options, which made me do a deeper dive into Algorand. And I'm going to be doing Flare, but Flare is so new. It's not even live. Right. So but there's other things like we've talked about Polkadot. We could talk about Cosmos. There's so many good blockchains that they're adding more and more and more nodes. So the more nodes that are added to the blockchains, the more decentralized it is, the harder it is to shut down our money.
Yep, so, absolutely.
And we have Pulse Chain as well, which, again, it's like, and we have to watch regulation, right? Because we'll see what happens. If Gary Gensler gets his way and the SEC declares XRP as a security, who is that going to hurt? Because all these companies do not have the money.
Right. That would have a huge impact.
Huge
impact. No good happening.
So I think if that happens, that's when we'll see in a very quick period of time, 90% of these cryptos go out of business because they can't pay for, it's so bureaucratic, you got to pay this fee and that license and this license. And it's very, very expensive. It's like joining the World Economic Forum. It's very expensive.
Well, sure. That's why there's only, the select few that are included within that.
Right. But at the same time, I still think like folks really believe in having a censorship-free platform. Our money should be censorship-free. So we'll keep an eye on Algorand. We'll be looking at some of these other projects, and we'll break them down in some classes. And I don't know. I'm kind of psyched about it. Anything that's going to, be fun. And again, I think with Vitalik Buterin, it's just one of those things. You're super young. It's really important to have somebody that is older to be your mentor that can guide you from not being manipulated and coerced without probably you even knowing, right? Because you want to change the world and you are, but how are you changing the world? It's like we can have climate change. We're all in agreement. The climate is changing, but no one's stopping the corporations from destroying the climate. Right. Like no one's stopping Russia from dropping bombs on Ukraine. No one is going in and saying, we have a major climate catastrophe on our hands. Let's dismantle our nuclear weapons. No one is doing that. They're threatening to drop them. How is that going to help the climate? So just like organic food, it's greenwashing. Now we have climate washing.
I know.
And it's like for people like us that see it so clearly, it's so sad. It's just sad, right? It's like, eat your crickets.
I know. We really should do a one-off one of these days where we just go way down the rabbit hole of many things, because it is fascinating. I don't think a majority of the population have any clue. Not to say that but I think really what is happening out there with your advertising and what you're being shown in the grocery stores and everything else.
Right. And we'll have some insight from you, because now that you're back in it, you can see, because I would hire people for these positions, and I'm like, they're absolutely manipulating people's minds to be like, I got to have it. Like, imagine if they had commercials to go eat an orange or an apple. How many commercials do you see for go eat an orange or an apple? You don't, because they're not subsidized by the government. But like sugar is, right? And like, I think Rowan looked up, there's like some new pumpkin spice drink at Dunkin' Donuts, like only for the fall. And it has 187 grams of sugar.
Yep. But, I know it's fall, Starbucks does their pumpkin spice latte, type thing. And same thing, flavored coffees, all these things. And I am a proponent of everybody going on a field trip. Go on a field trip. Go into a part of the city or a part of the town that you normally don't go into to just see other grocery stores in different. It's really interesting, and it's really important, I think, for people to understand the broader perspective on other than this little world that we have lived in forcefully over the last 3 years. People have been forced inside into their own little cocoon world, and that continues to be their agenda, but regardless, whole nother topic, but it is part of where we're at, and it's important. So go on a field trip this weekend, everybody.
That's right. And we're going to retake back our tech. We're going to take back our food, our water, everything. We're going to make everything super clean. It's just going to take time. We're kind of here waiting for folks to join us. And again, it's going to happen, because things are happening pretty quickly. The world's going to change. Like next year, we're going to be like, whoa! Didn't see that coming.
Really different. It'll be really interesting. So, well, and hope to see everybody on Saturday morning.
That's right. Yep, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Come join us. Bring your questions. And we're looking forward to it. And like we always say, Kelly, until next week,
hodl on.
Hodl on, y'all.
Your hosts for Two Women in Crypto are Andrea Caldero and Kelly Lair. You'll find more information and details regarding the Two Women in Crypto membership, educational and informative class and event offerings, and more via their website, twowomenencrypto.com. Both Andrea and Kelly are available for speaking events and offer private consultations focused on helping individuals navigate the future. Until next time, hodl on.